PR Connections Radio presents this episode of the PR Connections podcast is brought to you by Classy Communications PR and Advertising. Classy Communications provides public relations and marketing solutions for businesses, professionals, and nonprofit organizations. They can deliver the true meaning of your business with press releases, social media marketing, web development, email marketing, book publishing, and much more. Wherever your potential clients are, they can help you connect with them. Visit classycommunications.net to learn more about their suite of services that can help your business stand out from the rest. Classy Communications is your solution for business success.
Hello there, and this is Jesse Oakley III, and welcome to the Sunday Morning Chat Series with me, Jesse Oakley III. Now, the purpose of the Sunday Morning Chat Series is where I, Jesse Oakley III, get to ask have a plethora of positive people that are making big differences in the community. You name it: speakers, writers, authors, entertainers, athletes, anyone that's making a big difference in the community. You'll hear from them first right here on the Sunday Morning Chat Series with Jesse Oakley III. Now, today's episode is going to be a fantastic episode, and it's going to be very interesting, too, because we'll talk about one of the underrated professions that could be discussed when it comes to helping the community out, making big differences for everybody. And I believe that this is truly fantastic, and everybody's got to benefit from this, and this is a make or break off of one success or the other way around. And I'm talking about parenting. Yes, parenting is always a big plus, and depends on how you raise your kids or how the kids are raised. It makes a big difference, not only for them when it comes to school, but also for many years down the road into the future. Now, myself, granted, I will admit to you, I have no kids of my own, not that I know of. I don't get a phone call from Maury Povich yet, but I just leave it at that. But yeah, I do have someone here that is a good parenting professional, and that is none other than Jenn Haston. Jenn, how's it going?
Great, Jesse. So good to see you, and welcome back to the Happy People.
All right. It's great to have you back again. And without any further delay, let's chat.
Let's do it.
All right. Now, you are a parent, and I got to ask you this. How many children or kid do you have?
I have one child, and I am a mentor to others.
Ah, very good. Very good. And I tell you what, parenting is very interesting, especially having one child and being a mentor to that. And there's so many times where my parents, rest their souls, they've been great mentors to me. My dad, Jesse Oakley Jr., and my wife, my mom, my wife too, but my mom, Sally Oakley, they've both been pretty good parenting. And I know so without them, you wouldn't see what happened here on the Sunday Chat Series. Now, when it comes to parenting and mentoring, what are the things that you can learn from this mentoring when it connects to parenting?
Well, I'm going to say that one of the biggest things here is that all the credentials that you listed, the biggest one is that you have a heart to teach. Because to be a parent, to be an impactful parent, you need to be ready to teach, because they're always ready to listen. Sometimes they're ready to listen. They pay attention to a lot more than we necessarily give them credit for. We think that they're not listening. So, for instance, give me a piece of advice that Sally Oakley gave you, Jesse.
Oh, my goodness. The one thing that Sally Oakley, my mom, told me is, before you leave this house, son, you're going to learn how to cook. And it makes lots of benefits, because my dad, when he was in the Navy and prior to the Navy, he was a mess senior chief specialist. That means he was in the kitchen, he was making all this food. And we're from the South, where a pig can be your friend and your food at the same time. And I can tell you this much. When I learned from cooking, I also learned from my parents when it comes to barbecuing, when it comes to frying, when it comes to making any type of cake or even collard greens. My parents have told me that before you leave this household, you're going to learn how to cook. And when I was able to leave my household and go to my apartment, I was able to go to the store and learn from different ingredients and actually make food for myself. But also, when I got married to Dana, I've been the main person to actually do the cooking, whether it be breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it'd be all the different types of cooking that's available. And one of the things that my mom taught me before she went to glory, actually her last was Christmas, was making those oven-style ribs. Those ribs are truly fantastic. I tell you, those rack of ribs are right there. And what you do is you take the rack of ribs, St. Louis style ribs, you sprinkle some vinegar on it, wrap it up, actually some dry rib spices there, wrap it in aluminum foil, let it bake at like 350 for 3 hours, and bake for 350 for 3 hours. You put some barbecue sauce on it, smatter it on there, and then you flip it around, smatter some more barbecue sauce there, and let it cook for 1 hour. And guess what? Fall off the bone good. And that's the last thing my mom taught me before she went on to glory, and it was the Christmas prior to her passing. So when I think about learning how to cook, that's one thing I learned from not only my mom, Sally Oakley, but also my dad, Jesse Oakley Jr.
That's so lovely. Parents can give us so much, and, we can take it. Sometimes we reject it, and sometimes we say, oh, you know what? I don't need to know that. I know more than you do. It's like, no, you don't, baby.
Hey, and there's always room to learn. And I can tell you as a good example, if you have this bottle right here, yes, I do have a drink right here, and you leave this cap out open thinking that you learn everything, that's what it is. It's capped right here. So the key thing in order to learn is, well, when you have to learn, and people try to pour some stuff into you, and the cat's right there, it's going to make it impossible to learn. The one thing that you have to do to learn is to loosen that cap and keep it open, because you never know what type of learning lessons are going to come in here. You get so many learning lessons, they might overflow and mess up this nice suit jacket. But nevertheless, it's always a learning lesson if you do keep things open and not keep the lid on.
Well, that makes so much sense, especially when it comes to parenting, right? Because I always say it that perfection is impossible and progress is probable, because we have all this pressure in our society to be perfect parents, and it's ridiculous because nobody is perfect. And no matter how much you put a highlight on your reel and you've got a picture with the light shining just so, and everybody's dressed perfectly, the thing that you don't see just out of frame is that mess back there, right? Like, it's totally on purpose that we put ourselves up and we say, oh, I have to look perfect. I'm going to be on the podcast, so I got to look good. It's like, not all the time, friends. Not all the time.
No, and again, show me something that's perfect, and I'll show you that there got to be flaws here and there, because as long as we are human beings, as long as we are here on this earth, there's no one perfect person on this earth that is 100% perfect. There may be 80%, there may be 90%, there may be 70%, heck, there may be 10%. But I'll tell you what, you show me someone who's perfect, and I'll show you a facade. It's about as a facade as it's about as facade as someone getting like putting filters, like in the age of social media. They give you all these filters on social media, whether it be like TikTok or Instagram. You look one moment, and then you have all this filter like makes you look like a 10 or 11 out of 10, where in reality they're not the perfect one, but that's like that facade. And it's very important that we as human beings have to realize that we are imperfect, no matter which way, shape, or form. And when it comes to parenting, it's very interesting. We all have our quirks, but the key thing about parenting is not only what's right here in the mind, what you experience that you do share, but it's also right here with the heart, the time that you spend with kids, the time you mentor them, and the time you actually do that too.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference. Oh my goodness. I tell you what, we're going right into a great conversation here, Jen. I really appreciate this. And you know what? And another thing I like to ask is, what were some of these challenges that you had when it comes to being a parent or being a mentor?
I think the biggest thing is that I want to hand the knowledge to the other person, and there is no substitute for experience. It is the hardest teacher and the best one, because I can't experience it for you. I can't get up in front of an audience and give a speech for you. You have to do that with your words, your gestures, your movements, your flubs, because that's part of who you are. And it's the same thing with your kids. You don't want to see them make a mistake at school. You don't want to see them do something that's going to alienate people that might be their friends. And you want to be like, hey, don't do that. And it's like, you got to let them fall a little bit, because if the first time that they fall is in a place where it's big stakes, then you have not set them up for success. It's kind of weird. You have to set them up for failure earlier so they will be successful later. So it's like, give them that room to fail. So you're there to say, okay, let's talk about that. What happened? What went wrong? What can you try? And having this notion of, experimentation, and let's try that. We were talking before about mistakes and not being perfect. And let me tell you, God knows I'm not perfect. Nobody is. One of the things that we talk about in our family is, it's important when you mess up to own up and then clean it up. Say,
Yep.
you know what? I did not show up in that moment like I wanted to. That's more for your partner. But for your kid, it's like, hey, I need to do a retake with you. I have a theater background. So, it's like we're on a film set a little bit. It's like, let me do a retake with you. Let's go back. Let's go back. And we do it with her too. It's like, hey, don't let your message get lost. Let's try that again. Maybe with a little more respect, maybe with a little bit more softness. There was a lot of sass in that answer. Can we rewind? Can we retake? So
Now, I tell you what, you hit the nail right on the head. And I tell you, you show that you have the heart, actually have your parenting. And I mentioned about the heart. I can definitely see the heart. And when it comes to raising your child or being a mentor here and there. And another thing I loved about this is the fact that you are able to teach people. Now, there's an environment generations ago where if you do that same mindset, that's be seen as far out, because there's always a black and white type of scenario. Either you win or you lose. Either you pass, or either you fail. Either you do this or you do that. Not in today's time. There's now the one thing I like to say, and I noticed it in you when it comes to that answer, is that it's not win or lose. It's win or learn. Yes, that way, if you win or you learn, you never lose. If you win, that's great. That's fantastic. But if you learn, that's what a learning process is. And when you learn, you get better after that. And one of the things how people like to say is when it comes to the first time, expect to stink.
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely.
You gotta expect to stink the first time. And when you expect to stink the first time, you stunk it up. You can always find ways to ask yourself, how can I get better? And once you get better, then you do the second time around, you get less stinkier. You get less stinkier. Once you get less stinkier, then you get to the point where that stink turns into smell of success. And that success is a rose. So it's always best to expect to stink, and it's always best to win and learn. And Jen, you just hit that right there on the mark.
Thank you.
All right. Now, let's say this. What were some of the best moments that you have when it comes to parenting and mentoring?
The aha moments of the people that I'm coaching, that's my favorite. Like, I'm explaining a concept, like you need to put this a certain way, and I don't put words in your mouth. Go ahead and, do it the way that you would do it. But I think this is where you're trying to go. Say you're coaching somebody on a speech. It's like they just get it. And all of a sudden you see them execute it. And you go, oh, that's the best feeling ever. Same thing with my child. When I realize she understands something that I've said. Case in point, if you are and your viewers are not familiar with Dr. Christine Misandrino, she came up with the idea of spoons, which is to discuss the chronic fatigue. And I borrow from that to talk about, I don't have the spoons to, read you a story tonight. I don't have the spoons to sing you a song. I don't have the spoons to do this. And I don't lean on that all the time. But when I am out of spoons, I will tell my daughter, or I will tell my partner, and then both of us come up with a plan, like how are we going to get things done? And a very proud moment for me was when my daughter told me a few weeks ago, she said, I don't have the spoons, Mom. I was like, okay. And that was it. It meant that she got it. She understood where it was coming from. And it was a very aha moment for her that she figured out, oh, I can't do that right now.
Wow. I tell you what, the aha moments. And when the aha moments, how does that make you feel having to experience her aha moment?
Proud and excited that she's getting that at 8. And I got that, a little bit later.
Oh, okay. That sounds fantastic. And I tell you, there's some people out there that are aspiring to be parents, and you have couples that are going to either want to have a kid, whether it's through natural way or through adoption or anything else, and they will look at you for any type of advice on parenting. And you have that mentor, you have that parent experience, and if they want to be in your shoes, and what type of advice would you give to the couple that's out there that wants to be in the similar shoes that you're in? What advice would you give them when it comes to parenting and mentoring?
I would say the biggest thing is make sure that you are ready for the responsibility by checking out what it's really like. Babysit some of your friends' kids. And this is going to sound like a joke, but I'm completely serious. Go on lots of dates. Go see movies by yourself. Go to the restaurant by yourself, because this is something that you can still have after you have a kid, but it's just not quite the same because you're wondering how they're doing. You're checking in on them in a way that you didn't before. It's the most unselfish thing that we do to become parents. I'm still a pretty selfish person. Becoming a parent made me just a little bit better. But overall, it is still something that I feel so strongly to have that developed sense of self. So you are not so dependent on your child to give you an identity.
All right, fantastic response. Now you hear that, couple? If you're interested in that, heed those words that Jenn just mentioned, because these words could also be a benefit when you want to become a parent to a child or children, or which way you want to go in that route. Now, lessons. Now, there's so many things. We talked about mentoring and passing along. I talked about the time where my parents taught me how to cook, because again, we have one side of a cook and you have another side of the cook. You're going to learn how to cook. So when it comes to your end of parenting, what was one skill that you had that's given to you from your parents to you that you hopefully get to pass on to your child? What's been one of those things that you learned from your parents that hopefully we benefit this time?
So in my circle, we have a phrase, family of choice. I grew up with some childhood neglect, and so I am very blessed to have family of choice that I call my mom. And I've had some adoptive dads along the way.
All right.
And I think one of the things that they've taught me more than anything is to do things before you're ready. And you're never going to feel ready. You're never going to feel ready. Never going to feel ready. And they would often say, go do this thing, Jenn. You know that you want to do it. You've been talking about it for a while, so go do this thing. And then that's why I wrote my book. And I'm still waiting for it to get published, but that's part of the dance, right? You're in the process. But I wrote the book. And did you know that 90% of people want to write a book and only half of 1% actually do?
I tell you what, we're in great company, because you wrote a book and I wrote a book called Green's Happy People, which is on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles.
Nice.
and again, what could you let the happy people know what book is coming, what's all about?
Sure. My book is about body positivity for children, loving yourself at every size. It's for adults too. Shh, don't tell anybody. But I think that in our culture, we're so obsessed, especially as we head into the summer season. Let's get a summer body. Guess what? Is it summer? You have a body, the end. That's it. I think that that's so important, because in our culture, we're so obsessed with it has to look a certain way. It has to be perfect. Back to the perfect piece, right? We all have an idea of what a body should look like. And I think that you are just the right size. And I think that everybody is just the right size. Does that mean you can't decide to work out and become stronger? Does that mean you can't release or gain weight if you want to? That's not correct at all. I want you to love yourself at exactly the size that you are now, because so often it's like, when I lose 10 pounds, well, no, love yourself now. You can still lose the 10 pounds. You can still gain the 10 pounds if you want. Love yourself right now, because you're a unique individual that the world needs.
Ain't that the truth? And again, you epitomize loving yourself, and especially getting a chance to interview you in this podcast, and also seeing happy, joyful pictures of all the other things. Like, I was thinking in the back of my mind, that is one joyful person that's right there. And I tell you, you had that joy, you had that energy, aura that's right there. And again, this is what it's all about. Happy people. And when I thought about doing this episode like this, it's like, who better person to talk about this topic than a happy person I do know that I had in the past on my podcast is Jenn Haston, especially with the Boss of Balance and Haston Helping Hands and all the stuff that you're doing. And believe me, it does not go unnoticed what you're doing, Jenn, because I see the happiness, I see the energy, I see the positivity, and you know what? You're right there at the radar when it comes to that positive happiness and energy and those aha moments. So I really appreciate that big time.
Thank you. I do want to make sure that you know it is not all sunshine and rainbows. I don't always have a smile on my face because there is this thing called life, and it does life.
Yeah.
And it does get a little bit sad. And, I would be remiss if I didn't mention it's good to be happy. It's also good to feel all the feels.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I think that sometimes that gets missed, especially when positive, happy people like me and the people in your audience, the happy people, right? Yeah,
yeah.
we're happy, but we also have the flip side of that, right? There is no joy without sadness. There is no, you have to have balance. The yin and the yang are together for a reason.
Oh, definitely. And one of the sad moments I think of was, of course, losing my parents, my dad back in 2012 and my mom in 2018. And, when I lost my parents, it's a rip right there. But nevertheless, you have good parents. I tell you what, you have some good parents that when they're gone, you don't feel sad. You feel yes, you do feel that hit, that shock right there. But you also feel have that aura that's been developed inside that says, you know what, they did the best that they could. Yes, they may be gone, but then technically they're not gone. They're always right here and right here. So that's one of the things I've learned from the loss of my parents. My dad was passed away many years ago, and then especially with my mom. When I got to the hospital over in northwest part of Las Vegas Valley, and the one thing that tipped it off was those vital signs on the wall in the hospital down the hallway. When you see lines in one room, you see lines in another room. When it came to my mom's room, it was pitch black. And then that was a clue right there. And then when the nurses told me what happened, I felt that hit right there in the chest. And then after the hit in the chest, I felt that aura, that good aura. I didn't cry, but I felt part of me did cry afterwards. But I just felt that aura, like, okay, she did her job. Now I bet you that at the time that my dad looked down and from the skies and said, you did the best you could with Jesse. Come up here and join me, please. So I'm sure that's what happened at a time. And it's like, your job's done. Come with me. And once that happens, then once you realize that they did all they could for you, then you may have a little bit of sadness right there, but you also have that good feeling that's right there inside of you. So those are the things that's what also reminds me of. Because when you do have those people that take care of you, and there's people that are good for you, and then they're gone, don't be sad about what happened. Just smile what they pass on, what they give to you, because you never know who you'll affect the next generation, next cycle go around. Whew. Now I tell you what, Jen, this has been a fantastic episode, and I would also like to mention if you have any shout outs for what you do have, and if you have any shout outs for this journey and this mentoring, who would you like to give a shout out to?
I think the first person I want to shout out is my partner, Jenn Haston. He's a speaker and he is an excellent partner, and he supports me so much so I can do things like this. And I am so grateful that God put us in each other's path. And I want to shout out Craig Valentine, who is a mentor and definitely somebody that has helped me be on the path of where I'm at, and Darren LaCroix, and also Michael Dugan. He and I are working together on his Voice for Chefs podcast, and we are working together, but he is a constant source of encouragement and inspiration, and I'm so grateful for him. My friend Jeff Stein, out of Chicago, he and I have been friends for a really long time. We're actually going to meet coming up here in a couple of months in person. I can't wait. And he's also really bolstered me and given me a lot of support. And I'm so grateful for him. And of course, I want to shout out my mom, Joan Ellen Young. This is my mother of choice, who met me when I was 14. And quite honestly, I'm a different person without her in my life.
All right. That's a great group of people, especially so many amazing people I got a chance to familiarize myself with. And these are top quality, happy people that she just mentioned. Now, before I give you one more question, I have another question to give you. How can you do have a website that's out there. And could you explain the website and how people can actually reach out to you?
Yes. I work with organizations and individuals about how to find balance in their lives, whatever that looks like. And I'm most easily found on Instagram at the Boss of Balance. You can reach out to me there, whether you're an individual or part of a company who wants someone to come in. I can do a seminar for you, keynotes for your individual. We can do in person. We can also do virtual. So we can talk through all of that. I'd love to hear from you.
I tell you what, I'm on the phone right now, and I see say the Boss of Balance.
Yes.
The Boss of Balance, and that's all one word. Oh, and look, Boss of Balance. It's right there. Jenn Haston, right there on Instagram. So you have that right there with the Boss of Balance. And again, she has amazing pictures and amazing things that are here on the Boss of Balance. Check it out on Instagram. If Jenn's right there, if I'm able to check out all these wonderful things on here on the Boss of Balance, you can too. So check out the Boss of Balance on Instagram. Yes, and there's one more question I have to ask you, and this is a traditional question I have here on a podcast, and this is addressed to my crew, my people that watch this show, and they're called the Happy People. And they always like to close out with some great words of wisdom for the Happy People. And the great people that I have here on the podcast, they always have some great words of wisdom when it comes to this topic. So if you have one final words of wisdom relevant to this topic to my crew, my people, the Happy People, what would it be?
Rest is a right. It is not something that we earn. Too often in our society, we are waiting for permission to stop. And I'm giving you that permission right now. You're watching this. You're taking a break from whatever your life is. Take a break and really soak it in. Watch this. Don't do something else. Don't eat and watch TV. Don't do one thing at the same time as another. We all need to slow down. We are so obsessed with the hustle and grind. Please slow down and soak in this moment.
And that is a perfect bookend to a wonderful episode. And on behalf of all the Happy people that are watching Jenn Haston, I thank you for spending all this time here on the Sunday Morning Chat Series with Jesse Oakley III. Thank you, Jenn.
My pleasure.
All right, and this concludes this episode of the Sunday Morning Chat Series. For more podcasts similar to the Sunday Morning Chat Series, go to prconnectionsradio.com. But wait, there's more. You can actually go on YouTube, type in PR Connections, and you get to see a plethora of podcasts similar to the Sunday Morning Chat Series with Jesse Oakley III. But wait, there's more again. And you get a chance to, if you ever get a chance, check out some past episodes that I've done on the Sunday Morning Chat Series. Go to the new YouTube page I have called Sunday Morning Chat Series with Jesse Oakley III. Just go to YouTube, type in Sunday Morning Chat Series with Jesse Oakley III, and you get to see a plethora of positive people that are making big difference in their communities. Interviews I've done in 2020, 2021, 2024, and this year, 2025. You'll see those past episodes. This is the conclusion of the Sunday Morning Chat Series with Jesse Oakley III. Stick around for our next episode, which will take place next Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Sunday mornings. Until next time, on behalf of Jenn, on behalf of all the Happy people that are out there, this is Jesse Oakley III signing off. Until next time, Happy people. Bye.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.